stun guns, stun cuffs, even the dreaded Carbonti. Do you guys immediately get PTSD when you hear those words? Thank goodness CG came to their senses and got rid of those gates, but unfortunately they do have a new gate for a lot of the early game, mid game players, guys, and that is Kyros. Raise your hand if Kyro farming has been difficult for you at times. I know for me it has. I've luckily found a way though to make it much easier, guys, and we're going to go over the top 10 ways today that you can farm those Kyros so that your life is much easier. With that being said, let's get into it, guys. So first and foremost, I want to say that we are going to look at all of the different ways that we can farm Kyros, guys. Some of them are really good. Some of them are really bad. Like I don't recommend you do it bad. But I do just want to go over all of the different kind of methods and ways that we can do this, because you might stumble upon this at some point in time and be like, oh, hey, look, there's Kyros there. Let's get them. And you don't realize, no, you want to stay away. Bad. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to start at number 10 today. Number 10 being the worst, one of the worst at least. The top two are kind of the really bad ones to stay away from, guys. The first one that we've got on our list, everyone, is none other than legend tokens. Legend tokens are such a bad way to invest in Kyros, folks. So if we're looking at our shard shop shipments and all that jazz here, this is kind of the easiest way for me to show you where these places are at. If we scroll down here to the legend tokens area, you're going to see here that there are Kyros here. Now, immediately some of the late game players might say, whoa, Shaka, this isn't actually that bad of a buy. I get that, guys. The legend tokens aren't a terrible buy when it comes to the Kyros here, but the problem is Omicrons are such a big need in the game that you just cannot afford, guys, to spend this energy, or not this energy, this currency, there we go, on the Kyros here, folks. You need to save this currency, guys, and use it on the Omicrons. I get that the value is not horrendous here, but in terms of a general overview of how you want to use your different currencies and resources, you do not want to use this for Kyros, guys. So that is number 10 on our list. Now, if we take a look back at our ranking, guys, number 9 here is the Guild Activity store. When this first dropped, it looked really good. And then we did some math, not myself, because I'm not good at math, but we did some math as a community, and we realized, you know what, this is actually really bad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, we're talking about the Guild Activity store here specifically. So this is what you get from like raids and things like that, everybody. If we scroll down, you will see that you are able to get Kyros for the second level. Wait, where am I at here? Oh, maybe it's not actually available in the store right now. That's kind of a first. But usually you're able to get Kyros in here. That's kind of unusual. Or am I just missing it? No, they're actually not in here right now. But anyway, you want to avoid this, guys. It's really not a good way to get Kyros in here. Yeah, usually they're actually available in here. You want to stay away from this, though. Some of these stores, by the way, guys, do refresh, and they are not always, these Kyros are not always available in these different stores. So keep that in mind, folks. But as of now, at least it's not available. It was earlier in the stream, when I was looking at this. But do not use this currency on those, guys. It is extremely expensive and just not a good value. So, moving on to number 8. So now we're getting into a territory where I think it's a viable option for 9 and 10. Do not do it. Just stay away at all costs. It's a really bad investment, guys. Number 8 is crystal shipments. So when I say about crystal shipments, I'm talking about any kind of shipment where you can use crystals to get Kyros. There's a large variety of ways to do that. We can go into the weekly shipments if we want to. We can go into our, here we go. There it is. Sorry. This is what I was trying to get to. I was in the wrong store, guys. So the weekly shipment has these. This is your guild activity tokens that you typically get, your currency here. This is what you do not want to buy. Sorry, my fault. I was just in the wrong store, but I knew what I was talking about, guys. Do not buy these, guys. Okay? For the guild activity currency. Stay away from this. But In the weekly shipments, in your featured shipments, guys, there are times where Kyros will pop up and they will be available to you there for crystals. This is not a terrible method of spending on spending your currency, to be clear, not spending money on these Kyros. If you're at a bottleneck for this, it's not a bad idea to do it here or there. If you are a late game player, no, do not do this, okay? Like for myself, for instance, I will not spend crystals on Kyros anymore. I don't need to. I have a better way to do that. But if you are mid-game and you specifically are not unlocking a certain thing, we'll get to that later in the video, then this is a worthwhile expenditure at times. I would consider, anyone that's, probably in the 6 to 9 million GP range is probably someone that's going to really be considering this pretty seriously. So again, not great, but if you need to at times to kind of overcome that choke point, if you will, then it is worth it, in my opinion, guys, to use that. If we look at it from a character's perspective, by the way, if we're going in for Morgan here, and we're looking for these, you can see it pretty clearly here. Weekly shipments, 2,800 crystals, 1,400 to the 50, all of that kind of stuff. So you can see it just when you're looking for these things in general. Not a great way to spend it. You can see it here in shipments in general as well for crystals. Again, it can be good at certain levels of game based on your GP, but I don't recommend it generally speaking. Next up, there is a little exception to this rule, and that's the Jawa Daily Deal. If you guys go into the store, you will see the Jawa Daily Deal, and the Jawa Daily Deal is very much based on you and what you're doing in your roster. So you can see with mine, my daily deal right now is offering me shards for the different requirements for Balin, because that's kind of who I'm farming at the moment. In addition to signal data, because that's really what I need more than anything else. I don't ever see Kyros in my Jawa's daily deal here, guys, because I don't need Kyros. I have a solid farm of those. But if you're a player in a point in the game where this is a struggle, you might see these pop up, and this might be a worthwhile investment. Certainly, it is actually better than using your typical weekly shipments or your regular shipments with crystals. You're going to usually get a better ROI on this, guys, in terms of purchase power. The other option, I'll put as a side note here, I don't want this to be about spending in the game, but you will sometimes see some Kyrotech salvage bundles, things like this that we've got down here. Sometimes these can be worthwhile. I have used this in the past. I have spent money on this in the past to try to alleviate my Kyro farm at times. But again, if you don't want to spend money, guys, this is not necessarily something that you need to do. It can be beneficial for you if you really need to overcome it and you're willing to spend money. It's not terrible. Certainly better than options 10 and 9 on our countdown. What I would do, though, is I would stay away from some of these giant bulk packs, because those usually just aren't as good. There's also kind of a $25 version of this that you can find sometimes that, again, not a bad purchase overall. But again, that's only if you're looking at using crystals and or purchasing, guys. And like I said, if you're able to get to a certain point in the game, there are far better options than that. So let's go back into our top 10 list here, guys. And now we're going to kind of start getting into the areas where it is a better option. And at times, I do recommend this. To be clear, numbers 7 through 10 are not something I would recommend on a regular basis. 7 and 8 is a special moment only kind of situation, special occasions. 9 and 10 do not do ever, 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 ever. All right, number 6 is episode shipments. So if you are getting passes and you're getting a ton of the episode currency, then yes, I think this is not a bad buy. If you are really limited in the episode shipments, this still qualifies in the, what I would call the not a good option realm. This is why this is at number 6 and not number 5 currently, guys. You'll see that 6 through 10 is kind of a, I wouldn't always go for it if I were you, versus 5 through 1 is definitely stuff that you can consider going for. So in terms of episode shipments, guys, I don't know why I just stuttered like crazy there, sorry. But in terms of episode shipments, if we go up into here, into our shard shop, again, all of these different stores that you got here, we're looking at the episode shipment tab, guys. So there are Kyros here. They're usually 10 for, I forget what the number is off the top of my head, maybe 10 for like 8,000 or something like that. I can't remember the exact number. It's not a bad buy. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So you can see again from my account, I did purchase the pass. So I have a lot of currency. Right now, we're at the end of this current season, and I pretty much just can't buy anything again until the refresh comes through. You should prioritize Omicrons, just like the Legend Token store. But unlike the Legend Token store, where you have a really, really limited amount of currency, it's possible for the episode shipment store for you to have a ton of currency. And if you've got that extra currency, go ahead and use it. But if you're limited, if you're just doing a completely free-to-play method of this, and you don't have a lot of this currency, then I would not recommend that you get your Kyros through here. I would just focus solely on your Omicron abilities. And actually, for me personally, I would recommend the mod materials over the Kyros if I were anybody out there. For just a little fun fact bonus there, guys. I think those are a better buy than the Kyros in here too. But like I said, it all comes down to what your currency is, how much of it you have, and that kind of thing. Now, moving on to number 5. Now we're getting into the territory, guys, where I think this is a viable way of farming Kyros. Do I do it all the time? No. But I think this is very viable. I have done it in the past. And that is the Grand Arena store. So using your Grand Arena currency, guys, to get Kyros. This is a pretty solid, worthwhile investment in terms of using the currency that you're getting. It's not a bad return. Okay, so you can see here that we've got 280 Grand Arena currency for 4 of our Kyro shock rods here, guys. That's not a bad value at all. Me personally, at this point, I don't use this anymore, but that's largely because, again, I have Kyros on just lockdown at this point. They are farmed very easily for me, so I have found that I don't need to use this currency anymore towards Kyros. I can actually shift my focus from the Kyros onto my mods and my mod farming. But again, if you're someone who does not have the top tier levels of farming Kyros unlocked yet, this is a good method. This is a good way to use this and invest in those Kyros. Again, think mid-game, guys. We're talking anywhere from 6 to 9 million GP probably, possibly even up to 11 depending on the guild that you're in. But realistically speaking, this is pretty solid. This is something I would recommend if you are really, really hurting on the Kyros and need them badly. You can see, like, for instance, for these shock rods, guys, I've got 1100 right now, and I just used a ton of them on my Ahsoka team. So that just tells you, right, and my Mando team, I just brought Bo up as well. So that tells you I like really have these very locked down with our top 4. Specifically, I would say our top 3 are the big ones in terms of how we farm Kyros the most efficiently. Speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. Number 4 is light side 7B. So this is your light side battles, guys. I do this every day. Every day without hesitation. The only exception to this might be if you are really, really heavily focusing on farming a character. Even then, for the most part, guys, unless you're playing major catch-up in the game, you should still be able to farm this every day. So for those of you that don't know, we're talking about the regular battles, the light side battles down here, guys. And that is light side battle 7B. So this gives out Kyros here, as well as actually currency that you can use, guys, for your carb relic levels as well, those materials that you got there. So this is actually a 2-for-1 bonus. The problem with this is if you're trying to farm a character, or multiple characters is the bigger problem, that use regular energy. So for instance, right now I am farming Shin with my regular energy. I just finished my Merrick farm, so between the two of them, I didn't have quite as much energy to use on that light side node. But even with the two of them, even with me farming those 2 characters and doing double refreshes on those, I still found time to be able to do some of those light side 7B battles and still work towards those Kyros. Now, do you switch between the light side version and the dark side version? For those of you that don't know, there is a dark side version as well that you can farm to work on those. I forget what that number is off the top of my head, but there's a dark side version where you're farming the other Kyro. I wanted to say it was in 7, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, you could also do that too, guys. It is not as good of a rate of return, though, as light side 7B is. I only use the dark side node for Kyros if I am chasing a dark side GL and I need the tickets. But at this point, with the revamped system that we have for the GL tickets and everything, I probably wouldn't recommend that either, guys. I would just stick to the light side 7B. It's the best version of a regular day-to-day method of farming those kyros that you have out there. All right, now, everything that we've talked about so far, guys, is beneficial to pretty much everybody in the game, but you're not over the hump yet if you're doing any of these methods that we've talked about from 4 to 10. When we get into numbers 3, 2, and 1 here, this is when it's a game changer. If you can get to this level, guys, in the game, suddenly kyros become super easy for you. So if you're someone that's really hungry for kyros, you're struggling to get them all the time, this is where you want to focus at. This is where you as a guild want to focus at as well. It's very important from a guild perspective for you guys to get to this next level. Number 3 is the guild events currency, specifically Mark 2 and 3 currencies. So for those of you who don't know, this is what you get from your TB rewards. Where you really benefit from this is in Rote. So we're talking about the guild events currency, guys, guild events store here. We're talking about Mark 3 and Mark 2. So you can see my Mark 3, I've got 735. My Mark 2, I've got 864. So for instance, right now, and I'm going to actually grab this. This is great. I can get 10 of our Kyro battle computers for 600 of my Mark 3. That's a phenomenal, phenomenal value. I'm eating that up as fast as possible. As soon as you get the TB payout, guys, this is what you should be getting. Do not worry about these other things, guys. All of these other things that we can get from Mark II, the micro attenuators for Mark III, don't do it. There are other better places in the game for you to be able to farm these things, guys. This is where you want your Kyro focus to be. If you shift your attention to these two things, Kyros become a cakewalk, everybody. It is so easy to farm Kyros once you start doing these two nodes right here, or these two methods. Obviously, there's an exception to the rule here. If you're someone that doesn't have, you know, Malevolence or Negotiator or Cam, then yes, you do unfortunately want to prioritize those things instead. But once you have those characters, these characters that pop up in the store here, shift your attention to the Kyro, guys. Do not go for the Zinbiddles. Do not go for the micro attenuators. There again, your raid currency, guys, is a better investment for these things. The only small exception I might make is your keypads for your Relic 9 levels, your Gerda keypads. I might consider using your Mark III currency on those, but even then, I personally don't. I would rather use my crystals for that if I need to, and then stick with my Kyros, because I just think that's a far bigger bottleneck that's much more important for me to be able to regularly farm. Now, the question is, how do I get so much currency to be able to do this, guys? Well, there's a big reason why. And there's a big reason that not only do I have the currency to get these all the time, but also I have such a huge number of these Kyros. And that is our number 1 and 2 reasons in our listing, guys. Number 2 is Zeffo. To unlock Zeffo, guys, you need Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, and you need to win a certain number of battles as a guild in TB, in Rote specifically. So we're currently doing this, so this is kind of nice. I can show you guys the results of this, or the current project with that. So you can see with us, again, this is a guild, guys. This is a guild goal. If you do not have this as a guild, you cannot unlock this, and that really, really hampers you. So we're talking about the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis battle here, guys, on Braca. If you can get 30 people in your guild to complete this mission, then that unlocks Zeffo. Zeffo is the key thing here. So yes, when we complete a certain number of these, we're able to get a lot of the Mark III tokens, which is nice, but that's not really the ultimate winner here. The ultimate winner is being able to unlock Zeffo. When you guys unlock Zeffo, not only are you going to get more Mark III mats because of this, you're also going to get Kyros because of this. And this escalates as you are able to unlock the entirety of this planet. This, again, when you have an entire guild doing this, guys, these rewards become very, very, very large. You get a lot of currency, you get a lot of Kyros built in from that mission and from that planet. huge, huge, huge win for us. I know for our guild, we unlocked this maybe a year ago, I would guess, and our farms have been so easy since then. We just recently unlocked the #1 method of farming Kyros, which we're going to show you right now. That #1 method, guys, is Mandalore. Unlocking Mandalore, so it's more like 1A and 1B here with Mandalore and Zeffo, guys, but there's 2 tiers. You know, it's easier to get that Zeffo unlocked first, and then Mandalore being your second thing that you unlock. But if you can unlock Mandalore, this opens up the gate even more. So again, to be clear, guys, to unlock this, it's on Tatooine in Phase 3. This requires Bo Mandalore, as well as her other friends, to go with the team. The nice thing is this is a very, very easy battle. It's a little different than the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis battle, which is kind of difficult and requires some very, very, very good mods and relic levels and or an Omicron to be able to beat consistently. But you can see with this one, we got this 33 out of 25 times. This is a very, very easy one. This is much easier than our Cal Kestis battle is. But again, same idea. If you get wins on this, you get 50 Mark III for every person that gets a win on this. So that's a huge amount that you get. Plus, that unlocks Mandalore. And when you unlock Mandalore, guys, same idea as on Zeffo. Then you're able to get these nice Kyro rewards. And you can see they are better. It was 20 in Zeffo. It's 50 in Mandalore. At the end of your TB phase or whenever your TB might end, you get these payouts. So again, massive, massive, massive win if you are able to get these things to your benefit as a guild, everybody. Like I said, numbers 1 and 2 are very guild specific. You do have to have a large portion of your guild on the same page for this, but in my opinion, it is absolutely worth it. If I were a mid-tier guild, I would prioritize Jedi Knight Cal Kestis and Zeffo before, you guys know I hate the Inquisitors, but I would still prioritize that over the Inquisitors, even if I'm being completely objective here, guys, because it's just going to benefit you so much in terms of your farm and trying to bring up other teams and other characters. And like I said, not only do you get those benefits from those specific missions and planets, but it gives you a ton of Mark II and 3 currency to use in that guild event store as well. Long story short, guys, your goal is to get numbers 1, 2, and 3 here. Add number 4 in there when you can. And if you can do that, everybody, your Kyro farm is going to be a cakewalk. You will no longer ever have to worry about Kyros. Like I said, I've got 1,000 at a time ready to go, even after I've just unlocked Bo Mandalore and spent a bunch of Kyros on all that team. I know some of our guildmates that have over 3,000, shout out to SVR, over 3,000 Kyros hoarded right now, guys. Not even trying, just because it's that easy to farm this when you as a guild focus on this event. So, hopefully that gives you guys kind of a variety of ways to approach this, whether your guild is ready for it or not. I've given you some other versions, other ways to do it, whether it's the Grand Arena Store, the episode shipments, or even if you have to, unfortunately, go with the crystal method. Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, guys. But like I said, hopefully that helps you. Last but not least, guys, if this video helped you in any way, I'd appreciate, guys, if you gave a like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, guys, so you don't miss any more of the Swagga content that we got coming out here on the channel. And last but not least, guys, I just want to do a shout out here to all of our patrons. Could not do this without them. Thank you so much, guys, and may the Force be with you.
Just cannot be beat.